As the year comes to an end, it's time for the most important day of the year, Dragon Age Day. Dragon Age Day is an annual fan-made event that takes place on December 4th. It is a day when fans come together to celebrate the Dragon Age franchise through fan art, cosplay, events, meetups, and of course playing the games, all the while looking forward to the future of the series. But what is Dragon Age? What if this is your first Dragon Age Day as a fan, or you've been debating joining the series and just want to know the basics? Well, look no further as we delve into the basics of the world and a quick synopsis of the three main games. Beware, this video will contain mild spoilers for the Dragon Age series. Dragon Age is a multimedia fantasy series including novels, comics, an anime, and a Netflix series. However, the main central medium for Dragon Age is a trilogy of RPG video games. Created by Canadian developer Bioware, the Dragon Age games cover a wide variety of themes, including the corruption of power, the rising of a hero, and the morality of man. However, this is an incredibly simple description. Each game is vastly different in theme and tone. Dragon Age Origins is by far the darkest of the series, while Dragon Age Inquisition plays more with the gathering of power and the corruption it causes. Across all three games, it is your choice that matters most of all. Throughout each game, you make choices large and small that affect yourself, your companions, and the world as a whole. Do you cure the werewolves or slaughter them? Do you allow an important political figure to be assassinated so you can choose who takes their place? Or do you save them and hope they will be grateful? Who rules a nation? Do you threaten, lie, persuade, or fight your way through an encounter? The choice is yours. Each game follows a new protagonist, which you create. You decide their gender, race, class, and their appearance. The race can affect how people of the world treat you. Elves are usually looked down as second-class citizens, while your class affects the overall gameplay and abilities you have, and gender mainly affects who you can start a romantic relationship with. Combat and gameplay are vastly different across all three games. Dragon Age Origins is slow with a higher focus on party management, while Dragon Age 2 is much faster. Each class has multiple abilities and specializations to choose from, like the Anti-Mage Templar for warriors, or the Arcane Warrior that allows mages to take on a more martial approach to combat. In the end, these varieties in choice in character creation, gameplay, and story allow you to play a Dragon Age game multiple times and have a different experience each time. While Dragon Age Origins is the darkest of the games, the world that the games takes place in, Thedas, is incredibly bleak. Racial tension, slavery, oppression, ritual blood sacrifices, death, and the end of the world play a part in each Dragon Age game. Out of 4 races in Thedas, humanity is at the top of the food chain, controlling most governments and organizations, with many humans looking down on the other races. Where in some fantasy worlds like Middle-earth, elves are looked upon as great and mystical race, in Dragon Age, elves either live in the slums of human cities as second-class citizens, or on the fringes of society with the Dalish, nomadic tribes clinging to what remains of their once great civilization. The dwarves live in a rigid caste system decided at birth that is nearly impossible to move out of. Dwarves are unable to wield magic, but a massive part of their economy revolves around the mining of lyrium, a mineral which powers the practice of magic. Most of the dwarven culture is located underground in the last 2 dwarven cities, Orzammar and the further isolated Kal Sharok. Any dwarves that live on the surface are outcasts of dwarven society, never to return. The final race is the Qunari, a race unique to Dragon Age. Qunari refers to a race of large horned giants, although only some are horned. However, it also belongs to anyone from the other races who have converted to the Qun, a religious-like philosophy that governs the Qunari people. The Qunari are always seen as the other in the Dragon Age games. The Qunari are always seeking to bring all the other races into the Qun, all the while countless citizens defect, whom the Qunari consider to be criminals. Of all the threats to the people of Thedas, there is none more feared as magic. In some settings, magic is revered and requires years of study to master. In Dragon Age, mages are born with their gift and it's considered more of a curse. All mages, regardless of their skill, are to risk a possession from demons. When this happens, the mage becomes an abomination, a horrifying creature bent only on destruction. Mages are treated differently across the different races. In most nations, mages are sent to the circles, a mix of school and prison where mages can learn to control their magic away from society. All the while they are constantly watched by the Templars, soldiers specifically trained to kill mages who serve the church, the Chantry. Any mage that is not part of the circle is an apostate and is hunted by the Templars. The Dalish, however, treat their mages with great respect, making them the leaders of their tribes, while in contrast the Qunari have the mouths of their mages shown shut and keep them in chains. However, the biggest reason people fear mages is because they created a Darkspawn, The Darkspawn are a subterranean race of creatures that long ago brought the dwarven people to near extinction and have nearly destroyed the surface world 5 separate times in an event known as a Blight. Religious stories say the Darkspawn were created when the ruling mages of the Devinter Imperium, listening to their old gods, tried to physically enter the Fade, the realm of spirits and demons, and the Golden City, the seat of the Maker, the main god of Thedas. They were however sent back as the first Darkspawn and spread their blight across the lands. The Darkspawn are the main antagonists for Dragon Age Origins. In Dragon Age Origins, you are the newest recruit of the Grey Wardens, and the 5th Blight has begun in southern Ferelden. The Wardens are an order that forsake their past and swear to fight the Darkspawn. They are made up of warriors and mages, nobility and commoners. Even criminals are absolved of their crimes to join the order. In Origins, you create your character known as the Warden by choosing their origin. The origin you choose determines what the opening section of the game you play, how the characters in the world may perceive you, and how some later sections of the game can be played. Their origins include human noble, city elf, Dalish elf, dwarf commoner, dwarf noble, and mage. And while each one is unique, they all contain loss and heartbreak. Once the origin is complete, you journey to Ostagar, a ruined fortress in the south, with Duncan, the leader of Ferelden's Grey Wardens. Here you meet several important characters, including King Caelan, Loghain, a general of Ferelden and a father-in-law to Caelan, and Alistair, a junior Grey Warden. On the eve of battle, you join the Wardens by drinking Darkspawn blood, gaining the ability to sense the Darkspawn in the process. At the battle, the Warden and Alistair are to light a beacon to signal Loghain to attack. However, when the beacon is lit, Loghain abandons to field the battle.
Sound the retreat.
But what about the king? Should we not...
Do as I command.
Condemning Caelan and Duncan, along with countless soldiers, to their deaths. The Warden and Alistair are only saved by the actions of Flemeth, a witch of the wilds, a powerful apostate of Ferelden legend and myth. By the time you leave the swamp surrounding Ostagar, Loghain has taken control of Ferelden, acting as regent for his daughter, Queen Enora. With these actions, Ferelden is thrown into civil war. This is where the game truly begins. The Warden and Alistair must seek out allies from across Ferelden to stop both Loghain and the Blight by killing the Archdemon, a corrupted old god of the Devinter Imperium that leads to Darkspawn. In their journey, the Warden and Alistair are aided by several companions. Morrigan, Flemeth's daughter and a skilled mage who has her own agenda. Liliana, a former Orlesian bard and a chantry sister who believes the Maker speaks to her. Oghren, a disgraced dwarven warrior from Orzammar who joins the party in search of his missing wife. Wynne, a human mage and experienced healer. She's the senior chanter of Ferelden's Circle of Magi. Sten, a Qunari warrior sentenced to death for murdering a family who came from Ferelden to learn about the Blight. Zevran, an elven rogue and member of the Antiban Crows, an order of assassins. Zevran is originally tasked with killing the Warden. Shale, a dwarven war golem, a being made of pure stone. And Dog, your faithful Mabari warhound. Your journey takes you to Ferelden's Circle of Magi, which is overrun by demons, the village of Redcliffe under siege from the undead, the dwarven city of Orzammar, where a dispute over who should be king could lead to civil war, and the Brazilian forest, where a Dalish clan is suffering from a curse. During your adventure, Alistair reveals he's the bastard son of the late King Marek, making him Caelan's half-brother and heir to the throne. Allied with Arleman of Redcliffe, the Warden and their party journey to Denerim for the Landsmeet, a gathering of Ferelden's lords. Here you defeat Loghain and decide both his fate and the fate of Ferelden by choosing its ruler. With Ferelden's future secure, it's time for the Warden and their party to confront the Archdemon, or Themriel. Before this is revealed that to kill an Archdemon, a Grey Warden must die. They must absorb the soul of the Archdemon, preventing it from being reborn, sacrificing themselves in the process. However, there is a way out. Morrigan reveals a ritual created by Flemeth that could save the Wardens. If done, the Warden must help Morrigan conceive a child, either by themselves or by convincing another Warden to perform the ritual. The child will absorb the soul of the old god but leave the tainted blight of the Darkspawn behind. The game ends with the slaying of the Archdemon. If the ritual is done, the warden kills the Archdemon, survives and is named Hero of Ferelden. If Morgan is refused, the warden who strikes the killing blow, regardless of who it is, dies. Half a year later, the events of Dragon Age Awakening and expansion to Origins take place. Despite the death of the Archdemon, the Darkspawn continue to be a threat to Ferelden. The Warden, if they survived Origins, or a new Warden entirely, must rebuild the Grey Wardens of Ferelden. Throughout their journey, it is revealed the Darkspawn are in a civil war led by 2 sentient Darkspawn, something that was believed to be impossible. One side is led by the Architect, a powerful mage that seeks to take the Darkspawn away from the hold of the Archdemon and give them all sentience. The other faction is led by the Mother, a being that wishes to return the Darkspawn to the call of the Archdemons. Regardless of how the story plays out, the Darkspawn are dealt with and peace finally returns to Ferelden. The story of Dragon Age Origins ends with the Witch Hunt DLC, where the Warden must track down and confront Morgan, who has returned to Ferelden, who disappeared after the events of Origins. How the Warden handles this encounter is up to you, but as of now, this is the last time we see the Warden. The story of Dragon Age Origins is about an unlikely hero saving the world. Dragon Age 2 is the journey of a single person and how they try to keep their corner of the world together. In Dragon Age 2 you play as Hawk. Unlike in Origins, you don't get to choose your race, you are human, but you still get to choose your gender and class. The story of Dragon Age 2 is a story within a story, as Varric, a dwarven companion of Hawk, tells the story of how Hawk became the champion of Kirkwall to Cassandra, a seeker of the Chantry. 10 years before Cassandra's interrogation of Varric, Hawk, along with their sister Bethany, an apostate mage, their brother Carver, and their mother Leandra, are escaping Ferelden after the Battle of Ostagar. If a warrior or a rogue, Hawk along with Carver fought at the battle. During their escape, the Hawk family meet Aveline, an officer of the Ferelden army and another survivor of Ostagar, and her husband Sir Wesley, a Templar. Surrounded by Darkspawn, the party is saved by Flemeth, supporting a new look.
Well, what have we here?
Tragically, however, Wesley and one of Hawk's siblings, depending on Hawk's class, die during the escape. The group flee to the city of Kirkwall in the Free Marches, along with countless other Ferelden refugees. There they expect to be met as nobles, as Leandra was a noble of Kirkwall in her youth, before leaving to marry Hawk's father Malcolm, who has long since passed. The Hawk family are forced to live in squalor with Leandra's brother Gamlen, hoping that they get their family home and title back after Gamlen lost it several years ago. During their early years in Kirkwall, Hawk regains their family estate, funds an expedition to the Deep Roads, and makes their fortune and becomes a noble. Unfortunately, Hawk's life is as full of tragedy as it is joy. Hawk loses their surviving sibling either to death, joining the Grey Wardens, or joining the Circle of Magi or Templars, depending on the sibling who survived. While after becoming a noble, Leandra is killed by a crazed blood mage. Like the Warden, Hawk has several companions assisting them throughout their journey. Carver Hawk, Hawk's warrior brother and twin to Bethany. Bethany Hawk, Hawk's apostate mage sister and twin to Carver. Varric Tethris, the service dwarf merchant and storyteller with a unique crossbow called Bianca. Aveline Velen, a Ferelden refugee who becomes the city guard captain of Kirkwall. Anders, a mage and a deserter of the Grey Wardens, and former companion to the Warden who dreams of mage freedom. Fenris, a a fusion elven Tevinter slave with strange glowing markings on his skin. Isabella, a former pirate captain, looking for a lost artifact in a new ship. Meryl, a Dalish blood mage desperately trying to save her people's culture. And Sebastian Vale, a Chantry brother, skilled archer and heir to the city of Starkhaven. As a noble of Kirkwall, Hawke saves the city from a Qunari invasion and is named Champion of Kirkwall. During their time in Kirkwall, Hawke also encounters and kills a being known as Corypheus, which may be one of the original Darkspawn. As a Champion of Kirkwall, Hawke is caught between Knight Commander Meredith of the Templars and First Enchanter Ursino of the Circle of Magi as tensions between the two factions rise. Dragon Age 2 comes to a climatic end as Anders destroys Kirkwall's Chantry. Hoping that will drive mages and Templars to conflict, resulting in a Thedas-wide mage rebellion. Hawke is forced to support the mages or the Templars, but in the end it doesn't matter. Ursino is driven to use blood magic to save the mages, while Meredith is driven mad by her sword, which is infused with red lyrium. Red lyrium she was only able to get because of Hawke bringing it back from their expedition. Regardless of who Hawke supported, they eventually disappear. With his story finished, Varric is informed by Cassandra that both the Templar Order and mages across Thedas are in open war, and the Templars no longer serve the Chantry. Cassandra had hoped that Hawke would be able to save the world once again, but accept that they are out of their reach for now. The game's closing shot reveals that while Cassandra searched for Hawke, Liliana was searching for the Warden, who is also missing. Like Dragon Age 2 before it, Dragon Age Inquisition is a massive departure from its predecessor. The story follows the Inquisitor, the leader of a newly formed Inquisition, an organisation that had not existed for centuries, with the goal of bringing peace to a world on the brink of destruction. Like the Warden and Hawke, the Inquisitor is fully customizable, with players choosing their gender, class and appearance. The choice of race also returns, with players being offered the choice of human, elf, dwarf and for the first time, Qunari. Each of the races offers some unique variants to the game, including unique dialogue. Inquisition begins shortly after a devastating explosion, killing hundreds, including Divine, the head of the Chantry. You are the only survivor. The explosion took place at the Conclave, a gathering of the Chantry, the Circle of Magi and the Templars, in the hopes of ending the war between the mages and the Templars. The explosion left both a tear in the sky known as the Breach, from which demons spill forth, and a strange glowing mark on your hand. As the only survivor, you are assumed to be responsible, and a prisoner of those who served the Divine but were not present, mainly Cassandra and Liliana. Cassandra takes the player to the Breach, where they meet Solus, an elven mage, and Varric, a former companion of Hawke. Solus believes that your mark can close the Breach, as it can close smaller tears. Your group stabilizes the Breach, buying you more time to find a more permanent way to close it. With no help from the Chantry or anyone else, Cassandra and Liliana enact the Divine's final plan to restore peace to Thedas, by restoring the Inquisition. The player is now known as the Herald of Andraste, as many believe they survived the explosion by being aided by Andraste, the bride and prophet of the Maker. It is up to you how much you play into this new role. To help seal the Breach, the Herald is sent to recruit new allies to help the nascent Inquisition, mainly the rebel mages or the Templar Order. Assisting the Herald are several companions. Cassandra Pentagast, a human warrior. Cassandra is a member of the royal family of Navarra, Seeker of the Chantry, and the right hand of the Divine. Varric Tethras, a dwarven rogue, merchant and storyteller, and former companion to the Champion of Kirkwall. Solus, an elven apostate and expert on the Fade, the realm of dreams, demons and spirits. Blackwall, a human Grey Warden. The Iron Bull, a Canary warrior. Bull leads the mercenary company the Bull's Chargers and is an agent of the Ben Hasra, the Canary secret police and spies. Cole, a spirit who can cause people to forget him. Dorian Palvis, human mage and member of the ruling elite of the Devinter Imperium. Sarah, an elven archer and member of the Friends of Red Jenny, a secret organisation that protects the lowborn of Thedas. And Vivienne, a loyalist circle mage who does not support the rebellion and the official enchanter to the Imperial Court of Alais. Alongside these companions, the Herald is aided by a trio of advisors who help manage the Inquisition. Cullen Rutherford, commander of the military forces of the Inquisition and former Knight Captain of the Templar Order, who served both Ferelden and Kirkwall circles. Josephine Montillier, an ambassador and chief diplomat of the Inquisition. Liliana, spy master of the Inquisition, agent of the Chantry, left hand of the Divine, and possible former companion to the hero of Ferelden. With these people helping him, the Herald recruits either the Mages or Templars and closes the breach. While celebrating the closing of the breach, the Inquisition is attacked by both the Venatori, a cult that wishes to return the Devinter Imperium to its former glory days, and a faction the Herald did not recruit. This force is led by Corypheus, one of the first Darkspawn, a being that Hawk both encountered and supposedly killed. Corypheus also has under his control an archdemon. Corypheus is revealed to be the one that caused the explosion that destroyed the Conclave and gave you the mark. You having the mark is a mistake, and Corypheus wants it so he can physically enter the Fade and attain godhood.
Boy with forces beyond your ken, no more.
Whatever you are, I'm not afraid.
Words mortals often hurl at the darkness. Once they were mine, they are always lies. Know me. Know what you have pretended to be. Exalt the Elder One. The will that is Corypheus.
The Inquisition is able to escape after the Herald buys him time by causing an avalanche that nearly kills them. The Herald survives and with the help of Solus leads what remains of the Inquisition to their new base, the Fortress of Skyhold. Here at Skyhold you are named Inquisitor and formally recognised as the leader of the Inquisition. In the process of recruiting either their mage or Templar allies, the Inquisitor learned of two other schemes Corypheus was conducting to advance their goals. The first is tricking the Grey Wardens into summoning an army of demons and binding them all to his control. The Inquisitor attacks the Grey Warden fortress of Adamant, where the ritual is taking place, and the Inquisitor can convince the Grey Wardens that they're being tricked and stops the demon army from entering Thedas. The second of Corypheus' plans is the assassination of Empress Selene of Orlais, a nation currently embroiled in civil war. While in attendance at a ball which is being used for peace talks between the different factions, the Inquisitor handles the assassination and ends the civil war. After the ball, the Inquisition is joined by the Empress's arcane advisor, Morgan, companion to the Warden. Morgan helps the Inquisition locate an ancient elven temple of Bethal, one of the elven gods, from a time when the elves still ruled Thedas. Morgan believes Corypheus is looking for an Illuvian, an artifact which could enable him to enter the Fade. Corypheus is actually looking for something called the Well of Sorrows, a pool containing the collective knowledge and way of life of the ancient elves. The Inquisitor and Morgan stop Corypheus and escape. Belemith is revealed to be Bethal and reveals they can use the knowledge of the well to stop Corypheus. Corypheus is able to reopen the breach, but is finally defeated by the Inquisitor. Throughout the game, Corypheus has been carrying a mysterious elven orb that he used to cause the breach and the explosion. The orb is destroyed in the final battle, but Solus reveals that there are more and disappears. In a post-credit scene, it is revealed that Solus gave Corypheus the orb, and that he is the Dreadwolf Fen-Harel, another elven god and the one that supposedly destroyed the elven civilization. In the Trespasser DLC set 2 years later, the Inquisitor confronts Solus for one last time, and learns of their goal to destroy the world and restore the elven people. and the Inquisitor vows to stop them. Dragon Age is more than just the games. Multiple books follow both the side characters and main characters on various adventures set before, during and after the main games. The Stolen Throne novel follows Alistair's father Marek and Logain as they lead the Ferelden rebellion against Orlais, while the Sunder and the Masked Empire helps with the various conflicts encountered in Dragon Age Inquisition. All the while, the comics and the Netflix series have done a great job continuing the story after the end of Dragon Age Inquisition and setting up the next game. At the end of all things, Dragon Age is a story about people. From the protagonists to their companions and numerous NPCs, each one is unique with their own story to tell. And that's why Dragon Age fans love the series. It's these incredible characters that hook us into the worlds, whether they are funny or serious, the heroes or villains, or somewhere in between. Whether we love them, hate them, or hate that we love them, or the other way around. These characters and the stories they tell have kept us hooked in after all these years, keeping us replaying these incredible games, and this is what we will keep doing as we eagerly look forward to the future.